in an alley. You've always got a friend in Radio Valley. Whether you're high on a mountain or low in an alley, you've always got a friend in Radio Valley. Radio Valley 99.9 FM. Tune every time, say ooh, ooh, ooh. Radio Valley 99.9 FM. Tune every time, say ooh, ooh.
Alright, not every day, but once in a week, voices of note get up and speak. They tell stories, these voices, you know. Listen up now, listen up to this show for voices that move and voices that shape. This is the show. This is my mixtape. Hey, my mixtape here on Radio Valley 99.9 FM. My name is Supe, and as always, behind the controls, NC or Tile, board operating. And I am so relieved today because, you know, I mean, I think especially my guest, in fact, would be more relieved than me because it's like a big burden's lifted off his shoulder. We've been chasing him for 2.5 years, and every time he has somehow managed to you know, shrug me off. And finally today, I didn't even ask.
Believe me,
I didn't even ask him, and all of a sudden I find that he is the guest on the show. You don't like me very much, do you?
Oh, I love you. In fact, there was a backlog of people asking me, and then they said, "No, I got to do soup first. I got to do soup." And then Ratner said, "No, it is soup." So I said, "Oh, okay, let's get it done." Then the others can come
so
in.
Relieved or not?
Relieved, so you can look up when you walk into ambient. I can look up and don't have to hide.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, there's soup. The first thing he does isn't say, "Hi, Lama, how are you?" It's like, "When you coming on my show?" And it's like, "Oh God."
It was
literally. I'm not joking.
No, first of all, let me introduce my guest in case you don't know. Those of you who are who are familiar with the voice, obviously you know who that is. For those of you who are on video, watching this on video, since we're on YouTube as well, you guys will know who it is because we've obviously cut to a shot of him. But for those of you on radio, my guest today is Lama Shenphen Zangpo. Who is actually that's not his real name actually. What's your real name?
What's real and what's not.
Okay. We're going to get into all of that, huh?
Yes, we're going to get into all of that. I'm going to sidetrack. I told you.
Right. But just for the record, come on. Steve what?
Powell.
Steve Powell. All right. Yes, I'm sorry. I knew all of this years ago. I wrote an article on you. And
you did?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And maybe that's why you're media shy, because my article wasn't very flattering.
Probably.
But in any case, I need to say that I'm so happy to have Lama Shenphen here today with us. Finally. But it was your big talk, by the way. You're the one who originally put the thought in my head that you would come on the show, and you were talking about Pink Floyd. I want to share my Pink Floyd music.
Oh my
yes,
God,
you
no.
did.
Really?
Yes, you did. And obviously, I felt that you'd be a fantastic guest, no doubt.
Been high.
Did you get that? All right, okay. By the way, we are on YouTube today with a different group of cinematographers, let's say. This is G Media, and ably assisted by Doc Trexel, who has been a guest on this show. So today he's one of the videographers. Doc, you want to come into the frame once and say hi and show your shiny white teeth? So yeah, Doc Trexel, obviously you know who that is, right? Anyway, yep. So anyway, Lama, back to you. Right, so it was your big talk, by the way. I have to say, by the way, that my guest is somebody that I need to put my hands together for that, because not only is he a monk, but genuinely I do love and respect this guy. I really do, immensely.
Oh my God. Now I've been bullied and now I'm being flattered.
Well, I have to. just so that you would, Lama has said that the show, he has said specifically that the show is not about him. So we shouldn't be talking about him. And I said, no, your story is important. My listeners want to know about you. And he says, yes, I'm good at sidetracking. So he's going to try and sidetrack me as much as possible. And I'll try to get back on track as much as possible as well. So we're going to have a little battle of the wits over here, I think, for a while. But just to open things up, Lama, how's Swansea doing in the league?
Don't mention Swansea, they were relegated. And it seems like their owners are not going to invest any money.
Oh, yeah?
And I thought that they would get promoted again, but maybe even their manager is going to go.
So there's no hope of promotion for Swansea?
If they can hold on to their manager and get a few players, maybe.
Okay.
But they have to have some investment.
Right. All right, so we're obviously talking about Swansea Football Club.
Swansea City.
Yeah, because Lama is from Swansea, that small little village in the south of Wales. Right, anyway, yeah, so Lama being from Swansea, and
I'll be out of here. One more insult about Swansea and I'm gone.
No, in fact, you know that I've actually liked that team so much.
Yeah,
at one point, they used to play such fantastic football. I remember one game against my team, Arsenal. They out-Arsenaled Arsenal in that.
They used to play
game.
attractive football.
Yes.
That's why people like them.
Right, exactly. And a lot of it on the ground, not like typical English football up in the air. It was a lot of it on the ground.
They had their own style.
Right, yeah, a lot of tiki-taka at Swansea, which is nice to see. Some fantastic players also over the years.
Call them Swansalonia.
Swansalonia, okay.
After Barcelona.
Okay, wannabes, right? No, but some fantastic players over the years as well. I remember Michu at one point.
Michu.
Whatever happened to him?
He got injured a lot, and I think now he's playing for a lower league in Spain.
Oh.
He just couldn't make it back.
Right, okay.
Yeah, he was doing well.
Right. I used to like, obviously, maybe because the guy had slanted eyes like mine, Kisu Young.
Yeah, Kisu Young.
Is he still there?
No, they sold him. I think they sold all their players when they got relegated. They couldn't afford the bills.
Right. Well, I hope they do get promoted.
Yeah, me too. They finished about 10th, I think, so okay.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck with that anyway. But yeah, the Premier League kind of feels not really like a Premier League without a Welsh team in there.
Yeah, Cardiff got relegated.
Cardiff's gone, and
but they're our rivals, so we were happy they came down.
Just goes to show you could be a monk, you could wear red robes, but you'd still be very territorial.
Yeah, very territorial. I always used to look. We as kids used to look for Swansea's result, and then to see if Cardiff had lost. That would be the first.
Yeah, so some things you don't grow out of, right? All right, nice to know. Right, anyway, Lama. So I'm sure most of my listeners know about you, but some people may not. I just want to make it clear that you are originally, obviously, a Welshman from Wales, but you've embraced the cloth sometime in your life. We'll get into that. And you've been in Bhutan for the last, 10 years or so, possibly?
12.
12 years, yeah, possibly. And what do you do?
Sleep, eat.
Right, obviously sleep, eat, and then?
Irritate people.
Right, which
try
you
to avoid
do very
you.
well.
Try to avoid coming on radio show, which I also did quite well.
Yes,
and that's
did.
about it.
Right. Yeah, but you work with kids. I mean, you are an inspirational figure for some of our kids. Yeah, I think it would be legitimate to say that you've actually saved a lot of lives, I think.
Oh, I don't think so.
No, obviously you
I'm
would.
like a
you would
street
not.
dog. I will roam around.
You go. So. What's the term? I keep forgetting this.
Ignorant.
No.
Stupidity.
Well, Lama's humble, let's say. He's humble.
No, but it's true. I actually they think I'm helping the addicts, but actually I like the addicts. And we hang out together.
Right, okay.
And somehow they inspire me more than I inspire them. Because I like their lives. I think most of the addicts have been hurt. And I think that makes them less ego. People have looked down on them.
Right.
I think when you've been looked down on, you've hit rock bottom. I think your ego goes down.
Okay.
So actually I like hanging out with them. It's not that I kind of hang out with them to help them. I hang out with them because I like them.
Okay, nice. Okay. See, that's a point of view that most of us would never have understood or wouldn't have looked at it that way. Also, so you're saying that because they've suffered or so much and like you said, hit rock bottom, then that kind of makes them open up more.
Maybe I find that they're less ego. You can get closer to them quicker.
Right,
maybe.
okay.
There's a rawness there. Some of them I ask them to write something or haiku, but I feel there's a strong rawness of how they felt.
Okay.
They've been through depressions. And I
Right.
think you get close to people when you've been with them in these moments. When I've hugged them when they've been depressed, when they've been coming back from rehab, when they've relapsed, when their 8th relationship has crashed and they don't know how to deal with it, and they're taking tablets by the bucketful.
Oh.
I think you get close to people at that time.
Right,
Because you see
right.
them in their most vulnerable. And then I think that make a deeper connection. Whereas most people, there's always a distance,
Right.
Like this me and this my alter
Right,
ego.
right.
That,
Yeah,
this is what I
yeah.
want you to see about me.
Right. True.
And when you see the kids without that, then you get closer.
Ah, nice. I want to explore that more. Let's get into that more. For the moment, this is my mixtape, and let's get into your playlist. The first song is on your playlist is "Beautiful" by Eminem. Why is this on your playlist? Why is it number
Actually,
one?
one of the guys who helps me a lot, who I've been through a lot with him, actually, he suggested it at the last minute, and I thought, oh yeah, because I was stuck for thoughts, and I think it was partly his story too. I mean, because this is written by Eminem when he went into rehab,
Okay.
and I think people look down on you, and you struggle a lot, and people make you feel that you're not beautiful.
Okay.
They make you feel you're ugly. They make you feel you're bad. And I think you have to remind yourself that you're not. And I think from a Buddhist point of view, we are not. When we have Buddha nature, there's nothing bad about this human being. I mean, the things that come on later is because of your broken families or whatever. But it never, what's the word? It never stains your Buddha nature. That is always there. So that's why we should never give up on anyone. And I feel with a lot of the addicts are hurt, and people immediately tell me, oh, he's bad, he's a bad person. So the first thing I tell any of the addicts when they see me is that I don't care what the society's told you, I don't care what your family's told you, you are not bad. In fact, you are not worse than me. In fact, you might be better than me because you've had a lot of experiences. Yeah, and I think a lot of them are better than me because they've had experiences that I've not had.
Right.
And when they do get into things like Dharma or start to change, they become very good human beings. So whenever I put them in for training or whatever, they do much better than the average person, to be honest. But the first years ago when people said, oh, they were addicts, if you asked the hotel to take them, the average response would be, oh, an addict. I think they thought they'll kill all the guests at night, but I said they've been hurt, they need help. And I think the society needs to know that. I would say the majority of them have been hurt. So this one was particularly, when at the last minute I was asked one of my addict friends to say, can you suggest 2 more? And he said this one. And I think it's kind of his story too. And I've been through a lot with him. And I said, oh yeah, let's add that one. Because you begin to feel that you're not beautiful. Because when everybody tells you you're bad, you begin to think you're bad. And we have to remind the addicts that they're not bad at all. In fact, if you're a Buddhist country and you're practicing Buddhism, you should never even have that thought. We should always understand that no matter how much dirt is on that diamond, it never penetrates that diamond.
I wanted to get into that, yes.
And as you clean that up, the diamond will sparkle through. So therefore, you should never think, oh, he's hopeless, which I hear a lot. Oh, he's hopeless. Don't waste your time on him. People tell me that all the time. I said, you cannot tell me that. You cannot tell me that.
Right.
Because the addicts that I put in the hotels and stuff have been really good. And I find that they're very good human beings.
This analogy about the diamond, in fact, I've read an interview of yours where you've gone on to explain that, sometimes there's more muck around a diamond. So that would be a typical case of a difficult case, right, of addiction, whatever. It just takes a longer time to clean that. But the diamond is there.
Addicts, I would say it even takes less time because there's less ego. I think they've just been hurt.
Okay.
They just have to recognize, I think for a lot of people, yes, there's a lot of muck. But for the addicts, they've lost the fact that they haven't have that inner wealth.
Okay.
So I always try to inspire them and say, you're a good human being, you're a great person. Try to think, try to write poetry or do something so you can understand you have that inner wealth. Because when you've been told so many times that you're hopeless and you're bad, you begin to doubt that you really have that inner wealth. And then when you begin to stir a little bit, I think they don't have that much actually. I think when they little bit they begin to shine through very quickly.
Loss.
Because they've had that pain, so they can see the pain in others.
Okay.
So I find the addicts are really good when they work in these situations to help others.
All right. So that's kind of what this song is about. Beautiful. All right, then let's check it out then. Beautiful by Eminem. And then we'll come back and speak at greater length with this curious phenomenon called Shenphen Zangpo.
Everybody has a private world where they can...
All right, not every day, but once in a week, voices of note get up and speak. They tell stories, these voices, Listen up now, listen up to this show for voices that move and voices that shape. This is the show. This is my mixtape. Alrighty, Beautiful by Eminem. That was the first song on the playlist of my guest today, Lama Shenphen Zangpo. We were... Oh, by the way, I also need to say, if you want to call in and you want to talk to us, to Lama or to me or to both of us, you just need to call 1-999. That's the number that you need to call, 1-999. All right. So we will be taking callers here on my mixtape in this edition, at least from here on. So do call us at 1-999 if you want to talk to Lama or to me about anything that we've been talking about or anything related to thing. Or you want to compliment Lama on how ugly he is, please by all means do it. Right. Okay. I need to say, Lama, also that if you need to insult me, please do so. I understand. Look, one of the things that's very unnerving about talking to a person like you is that I kind of feel a little conscious also sometimes, because I feel like, all right, here's a guy who has been through all sorts of things, has understood probably human nature to a level that I will never get to, and has made some serious decisions in his life, has come to a different level of understanding, and here is this ignorant guy. And like you said, many of us, we come with our package of our ego and all of that, right? So if you need to show how ignorant I am also, by all means do it.
You know more
right
than me.
No, anyway, so, right, and we were talking about addicts a while ago, which is who you've been working with all these 12 years over here. You pretty much live on a... is there some interfering signal right now? All right, okay, we'll continue. Right, anyway, so you live you have a very Spartan lifestyle. You live on a very small budget, yet you manage to get, money and all of that put together just to send so many of our kids out for rehab. Why do you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. It just happens. The kids come. I don't know. We just hang out. They need to go to rehab, so somehow the money comes. I didn't make any effort.
What do you mean you didn't make effort? Of course you made effort.
No, I didn't make any effort to get money. It always sort of came. People offered. And somehow it just came. I've never really tried to.
Have you ever rationalized it, how that happens? I mean, I'd love that. I'd love money to just come. It doesn't happen. But
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe the addicts have got good karma and it comes for them. Because whenever I've needed to send the addicts to rehab, there's always been some kind-hearted people who've offered to send them. And it's just kept going somehow. And even when they needed training, somehow I didn't have budget, but somebody would come out of the woodwork and say, "Oh, I'd like to offer something." I say, "Oh yeah, kid wants to go to training in Siliguri or something," and then I just sent one 2 days ago actually, and the money came exactly at the right moment.
Right.
So he left for Siliguri.
Lama, now let's just... I want to explore what we were talking about being beautiful, about the diamond inside, all of that. I really want to take that further. I think it's extremely important. Especially because, like you mentioned, if we are a Buddhist society, even if we are not a Buddhist society, for the benefit of society, it's probably better for us to try and understand this better. But we'll get to that in a while. For the moment, please indulge us. We need to get into your story, Lama. I know that you were in Japan and Taiwan before you came to Bhutan. You were working there as well. What were you doing there?
Same, sleeping, eating, roaming around. Same.
Like he says, he's good at sidetracking.
Same.
All right.
Just different food.
This so this chilip from Swansea in Wales, how did you end up? I know it kind of sounds funny as well, but I mean, like, we are curious. How did you end up in these robes? You know?
Yeah, I also don't know. I ended up in Japan. I think I was 21 and I went to Japan.
Okay.
I was curious about meditation. Then I ended up in India, traveling alone. Bangladesh, India, Nepal, and then I ended up in Taiwan. I don't know. Somehow it just happened.
Right.
I think as a teenager, I was just interested in life, seeing what was life. I saw people around me, and I'm not saying it's bad or good. It just didn't attract me, the normal lifestyle
Okay.
of having, going to college, having a house, having kids, and all that. I just thought, nah, that's not me. There must be something more.
Okay.
So I guess I was I was interested in Buddhism, and then I was interested in Zen. So Japan became an obvious choice.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And so Japan, and then Taiwan, which became my home.
Right. How long were you in these two countries?
Japan was about 6-7 years, and Taiwan has been more than 22 years.
Wow.
So Taiwan is longer than UK, so I feel Taiwan is really, when I go home, I go to Taiwan, not UK.
Ah, okay. Okay.
So we should talk about Taipei City now instead of Swansea City.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're still supporting that useless club. All right. Okay. Yeah. So obviously, you are a person of a different frame of mind entirely, which is why, I mean, for us, I mean, most of us in this side of the world, if we became monks, it wouldn't have been a conscious choice on our part. You probably became a monk because, well, your family decided, they needed a monk in the family, and or that you needed to be fed and they didn't have enough, so go to the monastery. It's that sort of thing. But in your case, it was obviously a very conscious choice that you made in your adult life, and why I was asking this question is because for many of us it's unimaginable, but then again, that's why anyway, I don't even know what I'm saying right now, but
I wonder how I'm answering you.
So you are good at sidetracking, really are.
I even made you sidetrack.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but I just wanted to get into that whole thing, that how does a person decide all of a sudden, I want to be a monk, right?
Actually, I didn't. I was in Japan at first, and then I was living in monasteries doing meditation, and it just sort of happened.
Right.
And then I just stayed there. Then I met Songsa Khenpo Rinpoche in Taipei
Okay.
many years ago, more than 20 years ago. So I kind of, I don't know, confused. I just sort of hung out with him. Didn't know what I was really doing.
Okay. But somehow you found...
Somehow Rinpoche tolerated me, like a street dog roaming around Taipei.
Okay.
Which, incidentally, is my favorite city for roaming.
Okay. Oh, nice. Is there a particular reason why?
It's developed, but that's not the reason. It's got a little bit of chaos, but it's very safe. It's absolutely safe. It's
Right.
full of character. The people are absolutely delightful.
Okay.
And it's just, I don't know, there's a lot of character in Taipei. It's just got
Right.
so much character and so many characters.
Intriguing. Well, Taipei hasn't really been on my bucket list of places to visit, but now that you describe it that way,
When everybody goes there, they're kind of surprised. Ajakama was there recently with Kiron, and they were like shocked, like, wow, Taipei is amazing.
Okay.
A lot of people.
All right. Okay. I know. Yes, Ajakarma recently had a show there, and which did very well. Those of you watching on video, sorry, I'm getting a little distracted here because there's some flies in the studio. Anyway, right, including the one in red robes.
I brought them to distract you so I could sidetrack.
Yeah, exactly.
They were my sidetrack. They'll disappear when I've gone.
He brought his friends. Yeah, Lama. But speaking of friends, you refer to these unfortunate guys with addiction problems as your friends. And you were talking about how they're diamonds. What essentially you're saying, I suppose, is that, no matter how ugly or twisted or devious somebody may seem on appearance, everybody has an innate goodness in them.
Trungpa Rinpoche called Buddha nature
Buddha nature.
But Trumper called it innate goodness.
Okay.
So it's maybe a better way, because when we talk about Buddha nature, it's a little bit abstract. But when you
Right.
take away all the ego and everything, then goodness is what is left naturally. You wouldn't even call it goodness at that point. It's like the sun shining. You wouldn't say the sun is shining to be good. It just shines. That's its nature. But it does benefit others. So when you have all the ego and all the reasons for causing harm for others are taken away, then I guess goodness is what's left.
Okay. And you are able to reach it into that goodness, I suppose.
For who? The addicts?
Yeah. I mean, because you go into these, into the seedy underbelly, as people might call it, of Thimphu, and you're in places, that most of us wouldn't even dare to go, and in the company of people that most of us would cringe, to be in, and yet you find that goodness there, and nothing happens to you, because most of us are scared that you go and hang out with these guys, you'll probably get into trouble. They'll probably take advantage of you when you're trying to be nice to them, and nothing good will come out of it. And we have that defensive attitude immediately, and that's why most of us will never venture into these places. But you apparently go there every day, and yet you have a wonderful life. And as you were saying, you in fact like their company even more. How does that happen? I mean, how come you don't get into trouble? How come we never hear about Lama Shenphen got beaten up by some kid somewhere?
Maybe I'm too old and they think I'll die. Maybe a murder charge.
No, but people would do that elsewhere.
I know most of the kids from a long time ago. I've seen them for the last 12 years. So I've seen them going to school. We give fist bumps on the street, so we kind of know each other. So now they're getting into trouble. So I think the first thing is not to moralize with them. I'm not going there to teach them anything. I'm going there to hang out with them. That's why I like all these songs, because I learn Eminem from them.
Okay.
We just hang out. I mean,
Right.
actually, I like them. I really like them. And we hang out, we just chat, and then if they decide that, they want to go to rehab, we'll try to help them. But I always tell them that being an addict, as I said, it doesn't make you a bad human being. It really does not. But it's going to mess you up.
Right.
And you should try to deal with it. So if you want me to help you, okay, we can deal with it. And usually I take some of the other guys who've been to rehab with me, and then often they know each other, and then they say, oh, he was my using friend, he was my dealer. Oh my God, he was worse than me. Now look at him. How bad was his background? His parents threw him out, and now he's working in a 5-star resort, or he's, traveling around. And so when they see them, they think, oh, wow. So I usually take some of the recovering guys with me, because they talk at the same level, because they know each other. But it's important not to say like, oh, I'm coming to teach you, because I think they can teach me more than I can teach them. So hanging out with them is a learning from me. And then I can only suggest to them that that addiction is not going to be a good way, but it's their decision. But we say there's 3 places for an addict, and one is jail, one is cremation ground, and one is rehab. So I remind them that there's only 3. Once they become addicted, there's only 3. And I say if they choose the latter one, rehab, I'll help them. The other 2, I can't do anything.
Right.
But I'm always there to assist them. But it's up to them. It's their life, ultimately. And I just hang out with them. But usually they see the guys who went to rehab, and then their friends who are doing well, and then they, at some point, will mosey along and say, hey, I think I want to go too. And then, or they talk to one of the other guys, and then they decide, enough is enough. I think there's a point that they just say, it's enough. Some of the guys to me said, I've had enough of my addictions, not only drugs, but sex or whatever way they've tried to escape the reality. They just say, it's enough. I can't do it anymore. I'm going around in a circle. And they just feel tired of it. I mean, and then if they want to go, we'll help them.
Okay.
Otherwise, we just give them a hug and just, hang out and listen to Eminem.
Right. and I guess that to have somebody like you really helps, because I know precisely what you're talking about. I mean, I was there myself, disgusted with myself, saying enough, but still not able to quit, and just by sheer accident I had an epiphany, and things changed for me. But I mean, there's so many out there I would have appreciated if help had come along earlier, or if I had reached out for it earlier. But again, I want to take that this discussion even deeper and even further. For the moment, let's just get back into your playlist, and it's coming back to life, Pink Floyd. So finally, yes, all your big talk about sharing your Pink Floyd and all that is finally happening, eh? All right, yeah. So coming back to life, why is this on your playlist, Lama?
Well, when I used to go back to Swansea, actually, I always used to hang out. There was a drop-in center or a cafe run by addicts in my downtown. So whenever I went to the downtown for a coffee, rather than go to another cafe, I'd always hang out there. And they were playing that a lot. So I asked them, because I know Pink Floyd and I like Pink Floyd, but I asked them why specifically that one. And they were saying that the lyrics, actually the beginning is like, where were you when I was hurt and broken? Where were you when I was lost and all alone? Something like that. And they said that was how they felt for so many years. They said they were mostly not from Swansea, they were from different cities. But when they were hurt and on the streets, they felt like everybody. So they were asking, where were you when I was hurt and broken? Where were you when I was lost and all alone? So they were asking those words over and over because the families rejected them, the society rejected them. And I remember when they said that to me, I was kind of numb. It was kind of sad. I thought, oh my God, that's such a sad thing to be alone on a big UK city like London or Birmingham or Manchester, alone, high on the streets, and everybody rejects you. I could not imagine it. I was kind of numb. I couldn't imagine. That song always stayed with me later. So whenever we've done something with the addicts, like write books, I've always called it Coming Back to Life because it kind of fits the coming back to life, giving up drugs, but it reminds me of their story when they were crying out, actually saying, where were you? And even then they told me that they'd moved to Swansea, and then they said even then they didn't have much connection with their family, society. They just stayed in their own group. But I remember them telling me, and I remember being absolutely numb, thinking, oh my God, I was only, I think, 21 at the time, 22, and feeling numb, thinking, oh my God, these people's lives, to live in a big city in UK, it's cold, freezing, being high on drugs, looking for your next high, and finding out that everyone has rejected you, nobody's there for you. And they were actually asking that question. So those words came very much fitted what they were thinking, like, where were you when I was hurt and broken? Where were you when I was lost and all alone? And I was felt numb when they told me. I was like, I think I couldn't speak.
Okay.
So those words always stayed with me. So I always liked that song. So whenever I hear it, I think of that drop-in center kind of cafe in Swansea.
I sing the song, often at Mojo Park. I don't believe I've ever really paid attention to the lyrics, really. It's just one of those songs that I liked, but I never really,
whether that was the intention of Pink Floyd or not, but that was how the addicts picked up on it.
Right, and I'm never going to look at that song the same way again.
Yeah, it still brings tears to my eyes when I think of it. I remember being absolutely numb when they told me. I was thinking, imagine being in Manchester or London on a cold winter's day and the whole planet has turned its back. They said there was no light in their darkness.
Wow.
I was thinking, wow.
Okay.
So those words always still bring tears to my eyes when I think of it.
Wow. You've obviously been through quite a bit, and I don't know, when I hear something like this, as a person saying, the lyrics in a song moved me to tears, or that, a piece of poetry moved me to tears, it says a lot. It really does say a lot, I think. Because, my own experience with a lot of music and with poetry, in fact, in particular, has been, it was more about the hype than anything else for me. I mean, I was a literature student, all of that, and I could appreciate poetry, all that, but I lost the feel for it, and the appreciation of it. And then, of course, I was teaching also, and while I could understand it on an intellectual level, I never had a real true appreciation of poetry. In fact, over the years, I told myself, I'm not cut out for poetry. I don't read poetry. Some
of the addicts ones, because I asked some of my addicts to write haiku.
Right.
Poetry. They particularly like a Japanese poet, Santoka.
Okay.
He when he was a kid, his father was flirting around a lot, and then his mother jumped into the well and she committed suicide. And he saw the body being picked up, and his life was a disaster. In the end, he tries to kill himself. So a lot of the addicts resonate with his life.
Okay.
And then he ends up in a Zen monastery because he was pulled from the front of the train, and the monk, he stayed there for a year, and he became a teacher, but he was expecting as a teacher, I should be perfect. He said, I'm not a perfect human being. I can't be a teacher. I'm fake. So he just took off and he walked around Japan his whole life. But his poetry is very raw. So a lot of the addicts resonate with that. So some of the guys give me their poetry, and some of the words they write, it really touches me because there's
Right.
no like pretense. There's just what they saw at that moment. So if you read that kind of poetry rather than sort of English literature type,
No, even if it's English literature type, I mean, like it's like this, Lama. How can I explain it? All right, so I could appreciate it on an intellectual level, but I think one of the reasons that poets are poets is because they have the ability to see so much that most of us ordinary beings don't see, which is kind of the same as a philosopher also. But the difference being that in poetry, they do it with a lot of skill as well, right? So there's a lot of craftsmanship involved as well. So I was able to appreciate that craftsmanship, yet I was not able to totally appreciate the vision, I
didn't
think.
evoke something.
Yeah, I didn't, more or less.
Particularly, I prefer haiku actually because I think
Right.
it just gets to the point.
Okay.
So
No,
I
but-
tell all the addicts to write haiku.
But recently, just I'd taken a picture and then I wanted to put a caption, or, a suitable caption on it. For some reason, this Dylan Thomas poem, came to mind, and I was just researching that. So while I was looking that up on the net, I don't know, maybe it's age, I don't know what it is, but some of these poems that I've read, I've known these poems for like 30 years or whatever. I was rereading these poems, and all of a sudden, they resounded. They had so much more depth,
Dylan Thomas.
and it's like you said, I was moved to tears at that point.
It evokes something. That's what
Right.
a poem should do. And haiku is even stripped of the words. It's just
Right.
that moment. Yeah.
Okay. All right, yeah. So I never got that about haikus, but now that you explained it that way, I will definitely read haikus, I suppose. I'll explore. But right now, let's explore this. Coming Back to Life. We'll listen to that briefly and come back and talk at great length. Coming Back to Life by Pink Floyd. All right, not every day, but once in a week, voices of note get up and speak. They tell stories, these voices, Listen up now, listen up to this show for voices that move and voices that shape. This is the show. This is my mixtape. Into the shining sun, yay. Right. So we were talking about, for those of you who've tuned in late, by the way, you're listening to my mixtape here on Radio Valley 99.9 FM. My guest today is Lama Shenphen Zangpo. This fake chilipmunk.
Sounds good.
Sounds good, Lothar. Right. Anyway, Lama. So we were talking about this song specifically and how much it means to a lot of the addicts. Now I kind of lost my chain of thought as well.
Good. I'm distracting.
Yes, you are very good at distracting me. In any case, I think what I wanted to get into was the thing that you were talking about, saying you like reading poetry that's been written by the addicts, some of them, because it's more raw. Did you say
More raw, yeah.
closer to the microphone, please? I can't hear you.
Okay, it's more raw.
I'm an old man, hard of hearing.
I noticed.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I've never really liked poetry that's been about countryside and stuff.
Right,
I think
right.
it doesn't hit me. Maybe because I
Okay.
like cities. I like urban. When I go to Bangkok, everybody else heads off to the shopping malls. I'm always in the back streets with the addicts,
Okay.
under the bridges and hanging out. So it's a different lifestyle. So some of my addicts, so not all of them, but one or two, one in particular, is very good at writing like haiku and poetry. And I try to encouraging, because I feel it's very raw. I feel exactly the moments, the pain, the suffering, the things that came up in his life are reflected in those words. And
Okay.
it touches me a lot.
Right.
And I think you can get more out of that maybe than trying to talk to somebody who doesn't know how to talk, and then they're trying to feel how to explain, and then they're feeling shy. When they put it down, I get it.
Okay.
And I think haiku in particularly is like that, because you don't even have to have the words. It's the moment. I think haiku is particularly good at seeing a moment and then evoking that moment in 3 short lines. So if some of my addicts write haiku, I feel, wow, it's really powerful. I just feel, oh yeah, that's what they felt. That's that
Okay.
moment of pain,
Okay.
suffering.
Right. And could that be an example of what you said, that it's the diamond inside that's coming out, more or less?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's just something it evokes, and they're able to put it out in haiku. They're able to express it. I guess some people do it through art.
Right. Okay. Now, some people reckon or surmise that often, the problems associated with addiction and youth violence and all of that, or youth-related issues rather, are signs of what? Urbanization, modernization, westernization, whatever, all of that stuff. Could there be some logic in that? I
think when we look at Buddhism, we understand that things are not coming from one source. There's multiple things which come together. Like the piece of paper is made from wood, which comes from soil, which comes from a tree, which goes through soil, sunlight, etc. So it's a combination of things. So it's partly it, but it's not only it. Because if it was only westernization and modernization, then Taipei and Tokyo would have problems, and they don't. Whereas London and New York do. So it's something is connecting. So it's part of the puzzle, but it's not the whole puzzle.
Right.
So so I think we cannot. If we only point to one thing, we're going to miss how to deal with it. We have to look at the whole picture and somehow tweak the situation. Because the way I always describe it is like if it was a farmer, for example, and you're planting seeds, and the seeds have not changed. I mean, babies have not changed in 30 years. And the babies in, say, Taipei are not different from the babies in London. So if a farmer is planting seeds, the same seeds he's been planting for years, and they're failing in some respect, then you can't only look at the seed, you have to look at the soil, you have to look at the environment, you have to look at the water, you have to tweak the environment.
Right.
Yeah, so if we only look at the seed, only look at the addict, we're not going to get a solution.
Right.
Because otherwise, it would be logical in that Taiwanese babies have a less propensity to be an addict than British babies, which is not possible. So somehow the British baby is born the same as a Taiwanese baby with the same genetic propensities. The British baby gets into addiction, the Taiwanese baby doesn't. So do we blame the genetics or do we blame the environment?
Right.
So it's not about blaming, actually it's the wrong word, but we look at the environment. So the UK has to look at what is it doing wrong? How are we getting addicts?
Right. But at some level, I think there has to be a finger pointing. There has to be an element of blame as well.
It's part of the picture.
Yeah.
But if you only blame the kids, then it's not going to.
Yeah, obviously not. I mean, for example,
there's a responsibility of the kids.
Right. For example, I mean, a lot of us, how we look at recovering addicts or addicts, how we look at blue collar jobs, all of that is part of the puzzle as well, is part of the picture as well, I think. I mean, how important is it for a person who's a recovering addict, right, to be settled, to have a job, to have something to do, and to have a sense of self-worth? How important is that?
It's very important.
Right.
Without that, they won't recover. The majority of the kids that I work with or deal with, hang out with, I would say, they were become broken families. They were hurt, and they're still hurt. And a lot of things will bring tears to their eyes when they think about their past. So, I mean, locking them up is not going to get rid of that problem. So you really have to deal with the environment. Why are the kids being left? Why are the kids having these problems? So in the UK, I see a lot of broken families. In Taiwan, I don't. I see a lot of, violence in the UK, a lot of anger, which I didn't see in Taiwan. There's more help. In the UK, if somebody gets off track, there's a tendency to abandon or to push onto the government to deal with it. Whereas in Taiwan, the family will immediately close ranks. Finger pointing can be there. There is a responsibility. But when you're a kid whose parents are fighting and you've been thrown out and your stepmother's being cruel and you don't see any way forward, then drugs is a good opportunity. So you can point the finger at the kid, but did he really have any other option? Was there any other way forward? Because I see the aunts and uncles, when I say, what did your aunt do? Oh, she closed the door on me. Many kids tell me that they knock on the door of the aunts and they just close the door in their face. And they shouldn't have taken SP, they shouldn't have taken marijuana, but when you're in pain and all your friends are taking it, I mean, was there really an option? Because a lot of the kids start when they're 12, 13, 14. I mean, can you really think that logic? And I always tell the kids, you cannot blame society, you cannot blame anybody else. It was your decision. But at a 12-year-old, 14-year-old kid, when you're hurt and you're on the street, I mean, I see the kids in London who were thrown out by their parents. And, I mean, was it really a decision that they made, or did they just try to avoid pain? They try to get away from certain kind of pain.
And sometimes you get into it so unwittingly, which is, I think, in my case, probably I didn't have social problems, and my family took good care of me. I had very supportive parents. I was doing well in college, all of that, but it was, but you said you just thought you were doing something very cool, and
To be honest, the ones I find are mostly addicted are not the ones that get in social. They're the ones that were hurt. Because they're hurt, they're on the street, they hang out, the parents are not showing much attention, and then somebody gives them a SP or marijuana and they try it and it works. That's the sad part. It does work, but temporarily.
For a while, yeah.
So it's like, I always say, it's like that plant that brings in the insects. It's sweet, and the plant and the insect gets attracted to it, but it kills it. It does work. That's the problem. But the difference from the beginning and the end is very different. So when you first take that tablet, it's nice. It makes you chill out, you relax. But in the end, you become so addicted to it, it's killing you. It's no longer fun. You lose control. And in Buddhism, when we say you lose control, you're not happy. So a lot of the meditations actually like Shinaya to give you back control. Because you lose control. From the morning you get up, your mind is dominated on drugs, getting money, getting the drug, taking the drug. And that's not fun. Or it could be even if their addiction is sex, maybe. Then the whole day is based on that.
Like in your case, it
in my case, yeah.
No, but sorry to take away from the seriousness of the discussion.
So when you lose that, that sort of thing, you become close into addiction, I guess the word would be addiction, which means losing control. Then then it's not fun. No.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I remember looking back. I remember being angry most of the time, I think, and being irritated most of the time, I think, because you're just thinking of your next fix, and when you don't have it, that's what you're thinking about. Then if you want the stuff, you probably don't have the money at that point, so you're thinking about the money. When you have the money, you're thinking about whether the dealer's around, whether you can get in touch with the dealer, whether the dealer has stuff or not. And then once you get to the dealer, after that, it's like, okay, when am I going to get the stuff? Once you get the stuff, it's after when am I going to get the trip? And the entire time you're just irritated. It's only when
the whole day is dominated by
exactly. And then
by the hype, whether it's, as I said, drugs or sex or anything else, the whole day is dominated by getting that high. And then it no longer becomes fun.
Yes, true.
But the problem is at the beginning it is fun. That's why that's why the addiction attracts.
Yeah.
The drug attracts.
Right. Okay. But how does that affect all of us? The rest of us who may not be addicts also, how does that affect all of us? What role do we have in this? I think we need to get into that discussion as well. Right now, let's get back into your playlist, Lama. This one is Silence by Marshmallow featuring Khalid. What kind of song is this? Is it?
It's about a guy who's also fighting with his demons.
Okay.
He has a lot of demons to work with, but he's beginning to realize that he can allow them to be, and that he can also get help from people outside.
Okay.
So it's a lot of, again, stuff which the addicts work with, They have a lot of demons, then they need help from outside, and they're beginning to deal with all that. So I think,
in that sense, Lama, it's not just substance addiction. That I think all of us can relate to that. I have my demons that I fight with on a regular basis, and that's not fun either. And it's no longer about substance abuse. It's not.
We all have our demons.
Yeah, exactly.
But substance abuse or sexual addictions or whatever are an escape, but they don't actually deal with the issue.
Exactly.
So the next day when you've had your high, it comes back.
Right.
Then again you have your high, it comes back. So in the end you get addicted to whatever it is, the escape, and then it makes the whole situation much worse.
Right. I know some people have, it may not be, we may not refer to it as substance abuse, but it is, alcohol, for example, because it's socially sanctioned. It's so prevalent. I know some people have problems with gambling, for example.
Escapes.
Yeah.
Escapes.
So all right, let's check this out then. Silence by Marshmallow featuring Khalid. All right, not every day, but once in a week, Voices of Note get up and speak. They tell stories, these voices, Listen up now, listen up to this show for voices that move and voices that shape. This is the show. This is my mixtape. All right. I normally don't listen to this kind of music, but thank you, Lama. That was beautiful.
I was in Taipei, and then one of the addicts said he was walking through Timbu and was listening to it, and so then I listened to it, and I thought, oh, it's nice, but I could see how it was his mind too. That was what he was thinking. It related to what his mind was going through, these demons, and then it's a nice song.
Normally, when we have this sort of musical break, I take my earphones off and then I get into casual banter with my guest. It didn't happen this time because I was paying attention to the song. So thank you, Lama. This is something that I need to check out and give great attention to. So definitely after the show, I will give it more concerted listening. Right. For the moment, I want to take our discussion into this aspect of it's not. When we talk about addiction and all of that, that's not an isolated problem that exists in a certain pocket somewhere. It's a problem that affects all of us. Is it not? All of us have an equal stake in it. Just the way that we see them, and the way we appreciate or do not appreciate, whatever, all of that has a bearing on them, does it not? It has a bearing on our lives as well, as a society. The general health of a society as well. I mean, for example, we were talking about how it's important to have a sense of self-worth. That, kids, after they come back from rehab, whatever, they need to be engaged productively, have a job, whatever. And if most of them obviously end up doing blue-collar jobs, right? Working at a restaurant or a hotel or whatever. And if we, for example, look down at these kind of jobs as well, then are we not... We're not part of the solution then, are we?
No, definitely not.
Right.
I think we should look at society or families as like a body, a human body.
Yeah.
So, we say, oh, I'm the heart, you're the liver, you're the kidney, but we have to cooperate for the whole thing to work. You can't say, oh, I'm okay, but my liver is sick. I'm healthy, but my liver is sick. If the liver is sick, you're sick, because they affect each other. So if one segment of a family, a member is into drugs, or a part of society is into drugs, then the society is sick, the family is sick. You cannot say, oh, we are healthy, but they are sick. There is no we. There is no us and them. It's only us. So it's like the body. So if the heart is saying, okay, I'm fine, but the liver is sick, I don't care about the liver. It doesn't work that way. If the liver is sick, the whole body is sick, which affects the heart. So it's to all our benefits to encourage the youth to come up and to say, hey man, you're doing that job, it's great. Not to say, oh, I don't want you to work in a cafe, I don't want you to do that. It's not helping them. In fact, you should say any job that they're doing which is not hurting others should get a great applause. And we should use nice terms, language to appreciate them. So,
I think so.
You're working and you're looking after your family, you're trying to build yourself up. And because I noticed in Taiwan, if somebody's working on the streets or doing a low job, they have a certain language. Japanese also have it. Chinese, they call shinkuni, which is like, oh, it's tough for you. But it's an appreciation of that person who's working on a hot, sunny day, sweeping the streets. So the people will actually put their hands together and say, wow. And the Japanese also have a word, okay, there. It's like, oh, you're doing your duty, thank you. And so it appreciates those people.
Nice.
Because the person who's sweeping the street in the morning, maybe the husband has died or they're looking after their kids, they're working in a night market. So so solely it's a low job, but they're doing it to raise their family. So that should be respected, And I think definitely when a kid comes back from rehab, we should not be shy. We should be saying, wow, it's great you did it, We should tell everyone. In fact, I've told parents when they're feeling some stigma about sending their kid to rehab, I said, you should stand outside and tell the whole world, hey, my son is an addict, it breaks my heart, but I love him and I'm proud of him that he's going to rehab. You should say those words, I'm proud of him, I love him, and I'll always support him.
Beautiful.
You should say those words rather than pretend, oh, he's not an addict, I don't want him to go to rehab. That doesn't help. It's got people get off track. We all make mistakes in life, and we should help people to stand up again, not continuously put them down.
Right.
And so if the kid gets off track and goes into drugs, we should help them stand up. We all make mistakes. And as you said before, the diamond is never tarnished. The diamond is never dirtied by making a mistake. It's always there. It's always a possibility for it to shine through. And we as a society should do our best to help that diamond shine through, to give them that opportunities, not look down on them.
I understand, how people feel sometimes. I mean, like, there are people out there who are extremely driven, very successful, very responsible as well, as far as their own lives go, their jobs go, but when it comes to stuff like they're like, okay, I made something of myself, right? So I am responsible. So I took care of my own end. But you guys, you're a disgrace because you couldn't handle your own lives. And they kind of look at it that way, which is unfortunate, I think, which is extremely unfortunate, because it's like you said, it's like different parts of the body, of one body together. If you've done well for yourself, well, good on you, really good on you. But if you have that ability to do good for yourself, hey, come on, spread that love, no? Spread that
They
that
probably
ability.
had different opportunities.
Yeah, exactly.
Had they been put in the same thing as some of the addicts with a broken family and totally lost, they might not. They probably would not have had. They would not have had that success.
Yeah.
And it does not make you a worse human being because you got into drugs. It doesn't make you a better human being because you have a big car. It really doesn't.
Exactly.
It's just that one person, the addict, is suffering, and of course they will cause problem for others because they need to steal or whatever to get the money. So that's definitely there, but it does not make them a bad human being. I mean, it's just that they're lost, and we should use our everything we could to bring them back on track.
And if you have, the strength of mind, the resources, the ability to forge ahead, then why not use some of that ability to help those less fortunate, right? I mean, those who have had...
It's beginning to happen. I mean, the bigger hotels here, when I request, they usually take.
Yeah.
They're beginning to take. When I first came, people were a little bit scared of addicts.
Right.
And slowly it began to spread out. We put addicts in certain places. They were doing well. And now it's okay. I've not had any 5-star resort turn me down.
And there are some establishments that go out of their way to take these kids.
Yeah, there were some have started, and they were they were the first ones. They were pioneers to say, yes, we want to help the addicts. And they've actually told me that they like helping the addicts because it makes them, it's not just about the job. It's not just about having a business. Seeing a kid go through that cafe system and then moving on gives them much more pleasure than just making money.
Right. Yeah, I'm immediately, obviously, I'm thinking about an ambient cafe.
Yeah, they were they were the first, actually.
Right. Yeah.
And then from there, it kind of spread out from ambient cafe, and then the 5-star started taking. So usually the system goes: we put them in ambient, and then if they do well, then we put them in one of the 5 stars. So Dusit is taking, La Meridian, Amancore is taking. So quite a few have been taking.
Nice. That's so encouraging to know.
And then they usually regularize them, actually, because they do so well. And they work hard, and then so most of them have got regularized at the end.
Okay. Wow. Fascinating. And we've come to an end of an hour. I don't even believe it's been an hour, but yeah, we have been talking. And you have very successfully avoided talking about yourself. Well done, Lama. Very well done. I was up for the challenge. I was like thinking...
It was the flies. The flies distracted you.
No, I was thinking, I was thinking, I will get Lama to talk about himself.
You did accuse me of being a sex addict, so there you go. That was a hit back.
That
was a hit back.
No, actually, I wouldn't have said something like that, but it's just, one time when at the deer park, when I discovered your stash of hidden pornography, that's when I realized. I'm just kidding over there, by the way.
It wasn't very well. Not true. It wasn't very well hidden.
Right. Anyway, Lama, you're doing fantastic work. Really, really. And people like us, we appreciate it so much. And I think everybody should appreciate it as well. And not just appreciate it, but actually help, help as much as they can. We just want to know, Lama, are you still going to be around? What are your plans for the future?
Yeah, no plans.
Right, okay.
Street dogs don't have plans.
All right, okay.
Eating, sleeping. That's it.
And hanging out with your friends, right?
And hanging out with my friends, right, as much as possible.
I believe that friendship should be a mutually beneficial relationship. It should always be that way. And I am glad to know that you call these unfortunate people your friends. I wish I had the magnanimity of or the largeness.
I gain more from them than they gain from me.
There you see, and that's because of you. That's because of the way you look at things.
I like to hang out with them, and I think I gain more from them. Really, I enjoy their company.
I wonder how many of us have that openness of mind to be able to see it that way.
I don't know if it's open. I just like them.
All right, there you go. And it happens to you because you go in there with that mindset, I think. And that's so amazing. And I think it takes a special kind of human being to do the stuff that you're doing, really. And as self-effacing as you are, and you as humble as you are, you will say, no, they're doing more for me. And I understand.
But that's actually true.
Yeah, exactly. I understand that. That is true in your case. I have no doubt about it. But I'm saying that happens because you are the kind of person that you are. And we certainly need more chilips like you around. More droops as well, in fact, like you around. Lama, again, I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but
the sex addict.
I am
sex addict
no.
again. No.
I am not really the kind who follows lums or believes in much of the rituals and all of the stuff that the red robe people do. Which is not to say that I'm putting them down in any way, but I just don't follow all of that too much. But really, I've said this before as well. When it comes to people in these robes, I don't believe there's a cooler cat than you around, really. For me, it's, and I'm not trying to make comparisons or anything, but just trying to tell you that what you do makes so much more sense to me than what most of the other red rope guys
I'm sure they do more than me. In the long term.
And you would say that, really.
No, I'm sure they'll make generations nobody remember you when I'm dead.
Oh yeah, well, maybe not. But I certainly feel that the effect of what you do
will confuse Timbu for the next generation.
is far more resounding, and it reverberates probably far beyond what most others do. Really, I feel that way.
Anyway, thank you.
So
the last one.
Yeah, the last one is leave the light on, and precisely I think that's
particularly about leaving a light on for the addicts.
And that's what you're doing.
Well, not me. I was thinking more of our rehab in Siliguri, because many times our Bhutanese kids have turned up there in pain, and they've said, "Oh, one of your addicts has turned up at the door," and they always take them back.
Okay.
Sahayat, the rehab in Siliguri, they've always taken them. One of our kids got lost in Bangkok recently, and I was panicking. Sahayata.
Sahayata. All right.
One of our kids was lost in Bangkok, and I was panicking. I thought, oh, I'll never find him back. Actually, do I have 2 seconds to explain the story?
Yeah, please.
Okay, because 2 or 3 years ago, I was coming back from Taipei, and I don't know what. I mean, he'd lost his job in Phuket. I sent him for training, but he'd already finished the training. He was working, and I was walking down an alley. You know how big Bangkok is. Down an alley, and I saw a face in an open-ended cafe, like a little mama papa type. And I thought, oh, I know that guy, but I don't know anyone in Bangkok, so I just dismissed it. And then the guy waved his hand. It was one of my recovering addicts.
Wow.
So he'd lost his job. He was in a desperate state. His visa had expired for a week. But I don't know how we managed to meet in Bangkok. And I was on my way from Taipei to Timbu, and I was just stopping in Bangkok. So I said, okay, we'll sort it out. So we went for a cafe and for a coffee in the back streets of Bangkok. And I said, it's only a week. We'll pay your overstay. Go to Cambodia tomorrow, come back. So it worked out. But it was just amazing to meet him. But anyway, he again got in trouble. I think he got beaten up by a gang in Thailand, and he just got lost. And then I could not find him. And I was trying desperately to find him. When I was going through Bangkok, I was trying to locate him. I couldn't. Then finally he said, I've got to Kolkata. My last day of my visa. I thought, thank God. So back to Siliguri, back to Sayata. The rehab took him back. So I've seen a lot of guys. So I said, Siliguri has become the light for many of our guys. When they're in trouble, when they've been desperate, when they're slipping, they just get the bus down to Siliguri or come from. And the rehab always leaves a light on for them. So I always appreciate that. It's quite touching.
I think that's reflective of what you're doing as well, Lama. You are leaving the light on. For many of us give up. We shut our doors on addicts. We shut our doors on anybody who we perceive to be problems to the way we live and to our piece of our environment.
People don't like unpredictability, and addicts are unpredictable. But you should open to unpredictability. Actually, it's fun.
Okay.
I like the addicts because they don't know what they're going to do next. But if you have a distinction, you have to do it this way, then you're not going to like it.
Wow.
But when you can think, it's actually kind of fun, I don't know what the hell they're going to do next. And suddenly but if you can accept unpredictability, which is part of Buddhist teaching, actually, everything changes. We never know what's going to happen. And I think the addicts have that. It's good. So I always tell them, whatever you do, no matter how much you hate me or dislike me or whatever you do, we'll always be there for you.
All right, Lama. I know you have so much to share with us. And we kind of run out of time, but I am still going to press you for, one last word that you probably want to share with my listeners out there. Anything?
Please don't give up on addicts. Most of them need help.
Okay.
Please try to help them. And most of them need help. So please don't give up. And understand, as a Buddhist country and as Buddhists, we should understand that diamond is there. Buddha nature is there. So we should never actually give up. There's always a chance. If you can use our own tradition like Milarepa, Aguimala, they killed many people. But in the end, they became saints.
Exactly.
So please don't think, these people are hopeless. From a Buddhist perspective, it's not possible that they be hopeless. So they might need to go to rehab, and if they're committing disturbances and crimes, they might need to be isolated. I don't say that we should just keep everybody out. If they're coming with a knife and stabbing people, they need to be isolated for a time, but we should still never give up.
Okay.
Yeah, we should never give up. So yes, we have to keep society safe. Somebody's coming with a knife and they're high on drugs, you have to isolate them, obviously, but don't give up on them. There's always a chance that they'll recover.
I think that's an important message, extremely important message. And thank you so much again, Lama. That resounds even more for some of my most loyal listeners who are up at Chamgang and at Thimphu Central. They listen regularly to the show.
And come and see me when you get out.
Yeah.
See, hang out.
Lama. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Because Lama will keep the light on for you. I really sincerely believe so. Right, so we leave you then with Leave the Light On by Tom Walker, which is the fourth song on Lama's playlist. We'll play the rest of the playlist in his absence. But for the moment, Lama, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming onto the show. Finally, after 2.5 years.
Yes, now I can rest in peace when I see I don't have to hide.
Right. And I don't have to bug you also, right?
You don't have to bug me. I've done it. Yes.
Beautiful.
Free.
Beautiful. Nice. All right. So we leave you with Leave the Light On. Please remember, this show is rebroadcast tomorrow on Saturday, as well as day after tomorrow. If you catch us, if you don't catch us then by all means, please do check on the Facebook page of Radio Valley, where you will find the SoundCloud link to the show. And if you want to listen to it in its entirety, and if you missed it somewhere along the way, we were hoping for callers. We didn't get any callers. I'm kind of surprised about that. But in any case, those of you on the net, if you're watching on YouTube as well, hello. I know a lot of you have been checking onto the show on YouTube, especially in other countries. So thank you so much for tuning in. And to our sponsors as well, thank you so much. Right, this is Supe leaving you with Leave the Light On, which is the fourth song, as I said, on Lama Shenphen's playlist. Have a good weekend. Alright, not every day, but once in a week, Voices of Note get up and speak. They tell stories, these voices, Listen up now, listen up to this show for voices that move and voices that shape. This is the show, this is my mixtape.
Radio Valley 99.9 FM, tune every time, say ooh.